So, to preface this video, I am neither fast nor particularly good at Rubik's Cubes. I'm not bad, just not great by any stretch of the imagination. Um, but it's come to my attention that I solve them just a little bit differently than most. Not particularly so. I still do a layer by layer, but at least from the beginner side of it, I don't do very many algorithms at all. I have a couple of algorithms that I use in the middle, and then a set of commuters towards the end. It's a lot more visually based or intuitive based, and it's considerably more fun for me. So I thought that I would very briefly go over how I solve these, and then if anybody wants any more in depth, um, training or whatever, I can do that, but I doubt that's going to happen. So anyway, I began like everybody does, and I solved the bottom cross, and that's all really easy. Like for here, we'll solve. I start with yellow always. Most people do white, but I don't know. I just like yellow. So there are three. There are a couple of ways to do this. The easiest way is you want yellow on the bottom down there, and then your whites on the top. The easiest way is to have it so that the yellow is already on the top, and what you can do is have it right there, line it up with whatever color you're going to, and then just turn this 180 degrees. We just want that, and it's already in line. The next would be like this, if it's backwards like that. And what we can do here, we want to line it up with this red and scoot it in. So what we're going to do is go like that, turn that in just like that, and that still keeps us, this is still in place, and this is still in place. So both of those are just fine. Now from here, we're going to start to get into a few problems, not much, but basically we're going to have to do a slight move and then readjust from the ones we did before. So we're going to put this blue right there. We're going to turn this face right here, and then we're going to put this back after we put this into place. What that's going to look like is we're going to turn this right here, line that up just like that, and then put this in like that into place, and we're going to put this red back where we had it, just like that. It's very easy. And actually, by doing that, it solved everything else for us, which is pretty easy. About the only other situation that you might come into is if it's down there for some reason, and not already in line. You are going to have to just bring it to the top like that, and so just make sure that it's lined up with whatever color you're trying to go for, and slide it in. The rest of this varies slightly from how everybody else that I've seen does it. They solve. Well, I guess never mind. This part of it is pretty similar, solving the corners. And the way that I do it is I think everybody does it like this. I put the color like we're gonna solve for these yellows in the corners here. Find the one that we want. So we've got the green and red and yellow corner, which is right over here already. I don't want to put it down here. Generally, what you do is you put it like that. But this is misoriented, so you can't. You basically just don't want the color that you're solving for on the top. You want it on one of these faces. And so what I'm going to do here, and this is actually going to do two things at once. I'm going to bring this one out of this because this is in the wrong corner. And I'm also going to realign this so this is oriented the correct way. It'll be down here. So what I do is I flip them so they're both up top like that. And I turn them 180 degrees because they're already on the right orientation. And then I'm just going to put this red back down where we had it. And then now we'll bring the, there we go, the green and red and yellow. And so when you do this, there are two ways that you can have this oriented. Well, three with the yellow on the top, but if if we get it here, it can either be the red is down here next to it or the green is. What we want is we want to create this diagonal line right there. And it's really easy to do. What we're going to do, and like I said, this way is pretty much all visual based. You can think of it as an algorithm, but it's much easier if you just think about it as you're rotating and putting it into place. You'll be much better at solving things later, kind of weirder puzzles or whatever, if you think about things like this, as opposed to just rote memorization of algorithms. And so what I'm going to do is I want this to be rotated in the correct orientation, like this, because it's going to have to, I want to get it in here, basically like that, but that would take everything else out of place. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back here first, and then slide it into place and put it back down. So I'm going to we have this pivot point right here. We're going to slide this up like that, and we're going to put it next to that red, just like this. I'll show you what we're doing again. We've got our pivot point right here, and we're going to put it right here. So we slide this up, line the reds up like that, and then put it back down. And we're going to try to do that for 3 of them. Most people do all 4 corners at the bottom. The way that I do it is a little bit different. We're going to solve for 3 corners, and then we're going to solve for 3 middle pieces, and we want to leave 2 of them open. It doesn't matter which 2; they have to be touching, but it can be any of them, and I'll show you why here in a minute. So let's find another one. This one's already rotated correctly. We can do this one or this one, but this one's up top. So let's go ahead and do this one since it's already down below. We've got the blue and the red one. So let's take this over the blue and the red side. So the blue and the red side is right there. We're going to slide that like that. Remember, we're going to create our diagonal line, which is right here. And we're going to come up like this. We're going to create our pivot point, which is right here. We go up like that. And we're going to match this blue up right there. Like that. And then take it back down like that. So now we have these. Now we just have to solve for one of these 2. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, so this one is already in play. It's already in the correct orientation. This one we'd have to flip over. So with this, we've got the green and the orange. We're going to take this to the green and the orange side, which is right there. We're going to put it right here. So we're going to take it like that into place, and we have our little diagonal line right there. And again, we're going to pivot it around this green, so we're going to match this green up right here. And so what we're going to do is go up, over like this, match the greens up, and bring it down, just like that. Occasionally in doing that, you'll sort of accidentally have all 4 of them. It doesn't matter. Just ignore one of them when that happens. So what we're going to do now is, since we don't have this one solved, we're also not going to solve this one. What we're going to do for the rest of the cube is basically be trading pieces in and out of these 2, and then we're going to solve these 2 a little bit later. It may be more steps, maybe fewer steps, but like I said, it requires fewer algorithms, and the way that you do it, you better understand how things interact with each other. So this is just a fun way to learn it. Okay, so we want to solve these 3 sides right there. And so what I always do, just easiest to me, is to go from, just go to the left, go around, solve that one, and then that one, and then that one, and then I come back and realize that, this one doesn't need to be solved. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the red and the blue one, which is down below. It's right there. So I need to get this up top, and since these pieces need to be up here anyway, I'm going to switch it with one of these as opposed to one of these, so I don't have to repeat myself and do work twice. So what we're going to do, every time we change something, we now have to move this face underneath whatever we're going to change. So again, we're going to move this up. So what I want to do is move this underneath like that. We're going to trade this piece with this piece. Again, you can think of this as an algorithm, but it's really not. What we're going to do is move this up here, put this piece into that, and then move it back down. We're going to go up like that, scoot this like that, and then put it back down there. And then we can go back and everything's still lined up. So what we want to do now is we're going to do basically the same thing we just did, where we just traded two inside pieces like this. So we want to put this where the corner is. What I do is get this on the opposite. So right now the reds are lined up. I want to get this so that the blue corner is over the blue middle piece. And the reason for that is earlier we had our pivot points where we're sliding up and putting into place. We're going to do the same thing. This is now going to be our pivot point. So we're going to bring this underneath because we're dealing with this side and we don't want to have to repeat ourselves, so we're going to keep this down below. We're going to bring this up like that, match this red with this red like that, and then bring this down like that. So we now have these two. We'll go to the next one, so the red and the green, which is right there. And remember, we want to bring this to the opposite middle. So we want the green over the green. Whatever the top color is, we want it over the middle color. So we'll bring that like that. And we bring our little workspace down below and put that right there. And again, we're going to pivot it over this point. So we go up like that, bring it into here. We're just trading the centers around, and then put it back down like that. So we've got two of them. We need to solve one more. So this is going to go right there. So now we find the green and the orange, which is right there. Okay, so again, the top color needs to be over the middle. If we have the touching, if we have this over the wrong one, we can do the same thing, but it's going to put it in backwards. What's going to happen is we'll move this up, and it'll be in the right place, but it's going to be in the wrong orientation. We don't want that. So we'll put that back over, and again, keep this over the right face. We're moving two faces. We can move this one, or we can move this one. So since we have this over here, we're going to move this opposite face. We're not going to move the one that is on. We just want to connect this to this piece right here. Go up, scoot that over like that, and just put it right back down. And then now we can line that back up, and so we've got everything but these two on these bottom layers solved, which is fine because, like I said, we're going to be working in and out of these, and this kind of keeps us from having to do all sorts of weird memorization of algorithms. Now this step, what I do is I solve for the top cross, and then I solve for the corners. But right now, the way that you need to hold this is this little workspace needs to be in the front right. You can do it kind of wherever you want, but it's the easiest to see things if you hold it like this for now. And again, we're only moving these two faces. If we moved anything else, it would put things out of the way, and that would screw things up for us later in the line. So we want to make sure just to move these two faces. If we move these, I mean, it doesn't matter what we do right now. If we just keep with moving these two places, and we always make sure to put it back after we're done with our move, it's going to make sure to keep all of these. We won't have to repeat our work. Everything is going to remain the same. And so what we want to do now is, like I said, we want to make our top cross, our white cross up top. So like our green is already in the right place. We're going to put all of these in the right place. It's easiest when you're doing this if you remember the order. You know, remember that orange is on the opposite of red, and blue is on the opposite of green, or whatever side you do. It doesn't matter. But it's easiest to remember if you're doing that. And the last thing, right now we're going to solve these three. We're going to ignore this piece for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve these two pieces at the same time. There's going to be one move that solves both of these. And that's really the only algorithm, technically the only algorithm that we have to do. There's at the end, there's a set of what's called commuters, which are really pretty fun moves, and they're sort of like algorithms, but sort of not. it's a lot easier than, you know, up, move it over, down, up, move it over, down, until you get it right and just doing it over and over and over. This way you kind of know exactly what's happening and you only have to do it once every single time. So again, we're going to solve for this top cross up here. So we've got the green one in already. This one is out of place, that one is out of place, and that one is out of place. We're going to ignore the blue one because that's going to be solved last, so we're not going to worry about that. What we want to do, since this is our workspace, we're going to put whatever piece we want to put into place right here, and then we're going to put it in relative position to the other ones that we have already solved into place. So, you know, we know that from here to the right of the green is the red. And so we have the red one right here, so it's going to put the red one into our workplace, and this is we're going to do the same kind of move that we did before when we were solving these middle pieces to swap these out. We just bring it up, bring that down, and put it into place right there. And so now we're going to put it so that this is 1 to the right of the green here, like this. We started over here. We want to put it right here. So what we're going to do is move that like this, like that, move that straight up, and you can just put it back if you'd like. You know, after you get used to it, you know, you can just do it. You don't have to worry about putting everything back every single time. But for now, just to make sure that everything lines up correctly, you know, you scoot it all the way back, put it into the right place, and then we can kind of spot our next move. Our next move is the orange right here. And remember, we can move this face, or we can move this face without screwing anything up. If we do anything else, it's not going to, you know, we're going to mess up something down here or over here. So what we're going to do is put this one right here. We can't do it like that because that would screw us up right there. That would put that out of place. So what we want to do is move this piece up and put this where that is. We're going to replace this with this piece. We're going to put this up, slide this to where that was, just like that, and then put that down right there. And then let's go ahead and put these into their relative position, put them in the correct positions so we know what the relative positions are later. And this one's really easy, fortunately. We can just slide that up and that's already in the right place. That's right, and that's right. Now when that happens, what you need to do is scoot this out of the way, because when you'd be just putting that up and down every time. You want to replace this now with something else. So we're going to replace it with this piece. We're going to scoot that up, move this over, put that down, and now we can put these back into the place they were before, like that. Now this time, basically what's going to happen, remember we said we were going to solve this and this last? There's 4 positions that they can end up in. This was the lucky circumstance. This one, they just ended up in the right place. There's 3 other ways that they can be in. These can both be in the right place, but flipped. So, like, you know, the blue would be on top and the white would be on the front. And then, you know, the blue would be on this side and the orange would be on this side, or whatever color you end up on. They can be in the wrong positions, but in the right orientations. So, like, this blue and white would be here, but the blue would still be on the right place. And then the blue and the orange would be here, but this blue would be right, and then the orange would be up top. Or they can be in the wrong orientations and the wrong positions. So this one would be down here, but the white would be on this face, and the blue would be on this face. And then this one would be up here, whereas the orange would be on this face, touching the blue side, and then the blue would be up top there. One of them, if it's in the right position, but in the wrong orientation, that's really, we're just doing the same moves we are before, just switching them out back and forth, and that's really easy. The other 2, you have to learn short algorithms, which are not difficult. It's just something to kind of remember. And unfortunately, that's, like I said, kind of the one of the few algorithms with this method. So let's go ahead and put them into one of the wrong orientations. So let's see. this one, we have everything back correct, and they're in the wrong orientation, but the right positions. So like we have this in the right spot, it just needs to be flipped. This is in the right spot, it just needs to be flipped. And the way we do this, the same thing that we did before, whereas we're just going to flip things, what we have to do is scoot this out of the way first. So we're going to move that there. We're going to trade them twice, basically. We're going to move this up, put that into position like that, and then now I want to trade this piece with this piece. So the same thing we did before. Remember, we want this up here. We want this color over, the top color over its similar colored center. So what we're going to do is this face right here moves up. We connect this with the correct pivot point, like that, and put it back down. And then these are all still in the right relative positions. We just need to scoot them over their correct corners. So this is right, that's right, that's right, and that's right. All of those are fine. So that's 2 of the 4. One is they're already in the right position. One is they are in the right positions, but they're flipped. That's what we just did. Another one is if they are in the wrong orientations, but the wrong positions, but the right orientations. And that will look like this. Okay, so you see they're connected like that, but they are in the like I said, the wrong positions, but the right orientation. So they're touching correctly. And that's an algorithm. And basically what I do at least, is I put this in the back corner. You can do it up here if you'd like, but you're going to end up like this anyway. Because for the rest of the cube, after you solve these correctly, this goes into the back right corner. And you're just switching these all out with that one. This gets solved last. So I just moved this over anyway. But what you do, so you turn that there. The top face gets moved clockwise. The right face gets moved counterclockwise. The top face gets moved clockwise. The right face gets moved clockwise. The top face gets moved clockwise. The right face gets moved counterclockwise. The top face gets moved clockwise. Right face gets moved counterclockwise. And the top face gets moved clockwise. Okay, so the last way that they can be is that they're in the wrong position and the wrong orientation. Which looks like this. Okay, so everything else is right. This is in the wrong position, and it's flipped incorrectly, as is this one. With this, what we're doing is sort of the same thing that we did before, except we're turning this face instead of this one, and rather than turning it around side like this, since it's easier, since the back moves are harder, we're going to keep this on the right face. And all we're going to be doing with this is right face moves and top face moves. So what we're going to do is we move, the algorithm is going to be right clockwise, up counterclockwise, right counterclockwise, up counterclockwise, right clockwise, up counterclockwise, right counterclockwise, up counterclockwise, right clockwise, up clockwise twice, or counterclockwise twice, it doesn't matter which way. And basically you just do it until this is opposite of what this is, opposite of where it needs to go. We slide that all the way over. That's in line now, and we put that back down, and then push this back, like that. So these are all in the right place. Very similar move to what we did before. It's keeping everything in line with each other, and it's an easy repetitive move. Like I said, it's not a weird, complicated algorithm, which, early on when you're just learning to solve 3x3s, it's not fun to just memorize algorithms. It's like, sure, you can do a Rubik's Cube, but you're not really knowing what's happening. You're just doing things by rote. Okay, so those are the 4 ways that these two can be in. And that, like I said, all of that will solve, all 4 of those will solve these last 2 pieces together. And so what we do from here, this goes in the back right, like that. So now we're going to solve these 4 corners and this one. We're going to do this in 2 steps. And like I said, it's sort of an algorithm, but it's a thing called a commuter. What you're doing is you perform a step of moves. In this case, it's a very simple step of moves, order of moves. And then you change one thing, and then you repeat the same thing backwards. And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to put these all in the right position. They're not going to be in the right orientations yet, but it's like this one's already in the right position, but it's oriented incorrectly. This one is in the right position, but it's oriented incorrectly. This one and this one are out of position. And what we want to do is we want to put this in the right place. We always want to do whatever color on the bottom is. We want to do that one last, because we're going to put this one here, and this one's going to end up down here. So if we, let's say that we had one of these 2 out of place as well. Like let's say this one needed to go back here, and we did that first. We're going to have to repeat moves. If we do this one last, if we solve these 2 last, this one's going to be in the right place. This one is automatically going to be put where it needs to be. So we've got the green and the orange. That's automatically going to end up right here. That's the only place for it to end up in. So we want to put this here. This is going to go here, and this one is going to go down here. So remember, when we do that, we want to put the corner that we haven't solved, we're going to put it in the back right, like this. So we're going to look up top like that. And so what we're going to do every single time is put the piece that we're going to be moving. So we're moving this piece over here. We want to put this piece in our front left, which is right here. What we want to do is scoot the top over to the front left, just like that. And what we're going to do is move this down here and this piece all the way back here. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put this to where it was and do, like I said, the exact same thing. So we're going to scoot this down like that, which is, like I said, you can think of this as an algorithm if you want, but it's easier just to remember visually what you're doing. So we're going to basically, like I said, put this on the bottom layer and move it over twice. If you want to think of it as an algorithm, though, we're going to move left clockwise and the bottom or down twice, 180 degrees, and we're going to scoot this back up to the top. And then now this is in line to switch these back. So we're going to put this right here, and remember this is what we had back there, so we would do the exact same thing. And fortunately, this move is basically a palindrome, so it repeats itself backwards and forwards. So we put this into place. This is where our commuter comes in. Like I said, it's the inverse of what we just did. But we're going to change one thing in between. Like if we did the exact same thing, we would just keep switching things back and forth. We'd be switching the same piece back and forth, back and forth. But we're going to change one thing in the middle, which is to put that there first. And then we're going to put this here, switch it back, and put it back up. And then we're going to reorient, and everything's going to be in the right positions. So left face is going to go clockwise. Bottom is going to move 180 degrees, and then the left face is going to go counterclockwise, and we're going to put the top face back into its correct orientation, like that. So put the green over there, red over there, all of that. So now we have everything in the correct position, just in the wrong orientation. So this is where it needs to be, this is where it needs to be, this is where it needs to be, and this is where it needs to be. Everything just needs to be rotated. So our last step that we're going to do is now that we have all of the corners in the right positions, we're going to orient them correctly. We're going to do that by rotating them into position. And this is going to be a very similar move to what we did before, with that little commuter move that we did before, with just one additional step. And so what we're going to do is we want to find pairs to do them. And we want to find one that needs to turn clockwise and one that needs to turn counterclockwise. And we're going to do those together. We solve one, and then basically what we do is we solve one in one order, and then we're going to do the inverse of that on the other one. And so this will turn clockwise, this one will turn counterclockwise, or whichever way. This one needs to turn clockwise, this one needs to turn counterclockwise. So since we're going to do that, doesn't really matter which way you hold it now. You can put these kind of whatever position you want, but what you need to do, like I said, is find two on the same layer. So like these two are on the same layer, these two are on the same layer, these two, anything like that. Any of these that are on the same layer. Now we can't do this one and this one because they're not on the same layer. We can't get them on the same layer anyway. So we want to find two that are on the same layer, like this. And you also want to keep in mind, like, we can do these two if you wanted to, but that would leave that and that. And these two cannot be put on the same layer, so try to do them so that they're adjacent, so that these will end up together. Just so you create more work for yourself later down the line. Okay, so again, we're going to go ahead and do these two first. So together, you find the one that you need to move clockwise. You do that one first, and then you do the one that needs to move counterclockwise. What we're going to do is put the one that you need to move clockwise, put that corner in the front left of the cube, right there. And so what we're going to do is, like I said, a very similar move to what we did to switch them back and forth into the orientation, or into the positions that you want. We're going to move the left face clockwise, move the bottom face 180 degrees, and move the left face counterclockwise. This time, as opposed to moving this back in, what we're going to do is put this piece down and bring it back to put this in the right orientation. So we're going to bring this down like that, move this one back into place, so 180 degrees, like that, and we're going to move the front face clockwise to put it back into place. And see, now this is in the right orientation. We screwed everything else up in the cube, but it doesn't matter because, like I said, that commuter that we do puts everything back. If you do it in the exact inverse, all it does is change the two pieces that it actually affects. It puts everything else back to the way it started. So here's where the commuter starts to come into effect. We did that one algorithm to flip this correctly. Now we're going to do the inverse of that. We're going to do sort of a palindrome. So we want to put this piece right where we had it. So we're going to move that right there, like that. And now we're going to do the opposite of what we just did. We're going to do everything complete reverse order. So rather than moving the left face, we're going to move the front face first. We're going to move the front face counterclockwise. We're going to move the bottom face 180 degrees. Put that back there. And then the front face we want to move clockwise to put it back into position. Now we're going to do this step again. With the left face, we're going to move that. Clockwise. We're going to move the bottom 180 degrees like that. And we're going to put this back up to the top. And see that moved that counterclockwise and that one clockwise. And those are in position. We just want to put them back into the right orientation now. And so now we're going to do the exact same move with these two corners. So this one needs to move counterclockwise, this one needs to be moved clockwise. So the one that we move clockwise, we want to have that in the front first, then the front left, right there. So remember our move is going to be left clockwise, bottom 180 degrees, left counterclockwise, front, counterclockwise, bottom, 180 degrees, front, clockwise, and then we put this into the front left corner, so we're going to now move this counterclockwise. So put that wherever it is. It doesn't matter where it was, but wherever it is, put it in the front left corner, and do the move, the complete opposite of what you just did, the backwards of what you just did. So we're going to move the front face, move that counterclockwise. The bottom is going to move 180 degrees. The front face is going to move back to where we had it. So we're going to move it clockwise again, and now we do the same thing with the left. And now everything starts to look like it should. You can kind of see where things are going to be moving. So we're going to move this left face. We're going to move it back down clockwise. The bottom face, 180 degrees. The left face here, we're going to move it back counterclockwise, and now we put things to position to what we had it. And that is pretty much it. Every once in a while, you will end up with, like right now, it turned out pretty easy, where we had, a set of counterclockwise and clockwise, and a counterclockwise and clockwise. Every once in a while, it'll be the case where they're all counterclockwise or they're all clockwise, and you're always going to have those in odds if it's like that. If it's even, there'll be 1 and 1 and the other. If they're odds, sometimes it's going to be that if you have 3 that all moved in the same direction, then it's going to be an odd set. And basically, what you're going to do is just do one of those sets again. So let's say that they all had to be moved counterclockwise. You're just going to, like, let's say this is counterclockwise, this is counterclockwise, and this is counterclockwise. We're going to move this one clockwise, even though it needs to be moved counterclockwise. So we're going to move it here. This one will end up being solved if we do the same thing exactly like we just did. But this will mean that since we turned it moved it clockwise once, we need to move it clockwise again, and it'll end up being solved. So you can solve that one and that one at the same time. So you're going to solve this one twice, or whichever piece it is, but you'll solve that one twice, and then the others will be, correct. You just do the other ones counterclockwise or clockwise, whatever you have to end up doing. So, like I said, that's basically how I do them. Maybe not the most efficient way, but I think that it's a little more fun than, like I said, mostly just rote memorization of algorithms. And like I said, there are a few algorithms in this, but they're, like I said, to me, they're a little more logical. They're more visually based. I can kind of comprehend where I'm moving things. So if nothing else, it's more fun to do it rather than up, over, and down. I don't really remember any algorithms. I learned the all algorithm method one time, and it wasn't very fun.